I'm convinced the Patriots found Tom Brady again. They did it again. The Packers go from... The Packers get Bart Starr. They have Brett Favre. They have Aaron Rodgers. The Colts go from Peyton Manning directly to Andrew Luck. And the Patriots have Tom Brady for all these years. And now, perhaps, they have the next Tom Brady in Mac Jones. Okay, maybe it's a little too soon to say that. Maybe it's a little too soon to call Mac Jones Tom Brady. But he certainly looks like Tom Brady from preseason, does he not? He may be the best looking rookie quarterback in the preseason. And Cam Newton is out of a job. None of us thought, I don't think many of us thought after we saw Mac Jones in the first 2 or 3 preseason games, I don't think really any of us saw Cam Newton being the starter this season, or to start the year, rather. But none of us thought he was going to get cut. Cam Newton released. And so it's the Mac Jones show now. Return of the Mac happening in New England. And I think this is a really good thing for the offense. Especially from a reality standpoint, yes, obviously. But from a fantasy standpoint, I don't know how does this hurt the offense? Mac Jones elevates these receivers. He's obviously helping make these receivers better. He's putting them in a position to be successful. Cam Newton was not. What is the one thing? A lot of you have followed me for a few years now. What is the one thing that I've always banged on Cam Newton for? His accuracy. He's always struggled with being consistently accurate, and it's gotten worse seemingly these last few years. And obviously now, it has kept him from the starting job in New England for the second year in a row. And I'm sure New England fans, Patriots fans, are probably like, thank you, God. Because Mac Jones looks like a seasoned pro. I don't even think he's turned the ball over. I think he got sacked 4 times throughout 2 preseason games. Not bad. Not bad. And I don't think he hasn't turned the ball over yet. He may never turn into a Patrick Mahomes. He's not of the Patrick Mahomes archetype. He doesn't have that Zach Wilson ceiling. That Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence ceiling. He probably has a Matt Ryan ceiling from a skill standpoint. A Tom Brady ceiling from a skill standpoint. But he's going to make this offense better. He's going to make it more efficient. And here's the best part. The Patriots don't have to change a damn thing from what they've been doing for the last 75 years since Brady was drafted. They don't have to change anything. Mac Jones can run this offense. He's showing us that now. I don't care about preseason for the most part. I don't care what a team's record is. The reason preseason, the only thing that for me that makes preseason relevant and important is the individual players. You want to see, because these players aren't half-assing it in preseason. These are players. Mac Jones was playing, for the most part, against the second team. There were some first-teamers he was playing against, which is equally impressive, or which is a little more impressive, obviously, but he's playing against guys that are trying to make the roster, that are trying to make more money, that are fighting for contracts. So they're given 110%, and he's still looking like the better quarterback than veteran former MVP Cam Newton. And so it looks like it's probably over for Cam. But again, look, this is a fantasy show, so we're going to focus on the fantasy aspect. This is great. This is great news for Jacoby Myers. This is great news for Hunter Henry. This is great news for Jonnu Smith. And it's great news for the running backs. So you start with the receivers. Look, Jacoby Myers is going to be their number one target. He's the best receiver on the team. I don't care what any Nelson Aguilar fans have to say about that. Jacoby Myers is the best receiver on the team. He's going to be a volume hog. Now, I don't think Jacoby Myers has this ceiling of, he could catch, 10 catches for 112 yards and 2 scores. I don't think that's what we're going to see out of Jacoby Myers. I don't even think we're going to see too many 100-yard games out of Jacoby Myers. We might see him go for 100 yards 3 times this entire year. Maybe 4. But he's going to be catching a lot of passes. He's going to be a volume hog. So he's going to get targeted. He's going to have that volume. And you chase the volume at wide receiver. That's the rule. Chase the targets. So he's going to help Jacoby Myers immediately. He's going to help Hunter Henry immediately. I think Hunter Henry, to me, is the tight end to own. I think he's better than Jonnu Smith in totality. But look, they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel as well. There's going to be a lot of 2 tight end sets. Okay? So they're going to be on the field a lot. Jonnu Smith is going to get his. Hunter Henry's going to get his. Jacoby Myers is going to get his. Mac Jones is going to spread this ball around. And who am I to say they're going to be a super heavy run heavy team? They may not run the ball. They probably won't run the ball as much as they did last year. But this is a good thing for those receivers. It's a good thing even for Aguilar. Even for Kendrick Bourne. Now, those are 2 guys to me that don't have a ton of fantasy value. The only receiver I'm interested in owning at all is Jacoby Myers. I don't have any Jonnu Smith shares, and I have a couple here and there of Hunter Henry. But what I'm excited about is the fact that we're not going to be seeing a ton of QB keepers in the red zone anymore. Here and there, on the goal line. But it is going to absolutely plummet with the amount of quarterback keepers we see in the red zone. The amount of QB rushes we see inside the 5 compared to last year. Comparing that to last year, Cam Newton had 75. Think about this for a second. Cam Newton had 75% of the Patriots' rushes inside the 5-yard line. That ain't happening with Mac Jones. So where's it going to go? It's going to go to Damian Harris. It's going to go to Ramondre Stevenson. Some of them may even go to J.J. Taylor. This is going to be... I know a lot of people are liking Damian Harris this year. Look, I'm a Damian Harris OG. There's no bigger fan of Damian Harris outside of the state of Alabama and the New England Northeast than I. Okay, I love Damian Harris. I was on him before anybody. Love the guy. I wish he was a starting running back in Atlanta. Even Matt Ryan agrees. Okay, I wish he was a starting running back in Atlanta. But he is in a situation where the Patriots felt comfortable enough to trade Sony Michel to the Rams because of the great play, the reliable play that they saw out of Ramondre Stevenson in the preseason. So Ramondre Stevenson was great. He's earned a spot on this roster. He's earned a spot in this rotation. He's going to get plenty of run. Damian Harris is not going to be an 80 or even 70% snap share workload type of running back. He's not going to be a workhorse. This is still going to be the same frustrating, unattractive Patriots backfield we have come to know and hate over the years. Now, of course, there's been some top 10 finishes. LeGarrette Blount had, I think it was RB9 a few years ago. He finished in the top 10. So there's been a couple of them here and there. But Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson kind of profile similarly. Damian Harris is the better player. He's probably the better pass catcher overall. Okay, his job's not in, his job is not in jeopardy. But we are crazy if we think that Ramondre Stevenson is not going to be heavily involved. We're nuts. J.J. Taylor is electric. J.J. Taylor's going to be involved. They'll probably even bring in Brandon Bolden. I'm sure he's still on the roster because of his special teams prowess. He's probably going to come in and vulture some goal line touches from Dame and Ramondre. This is going to be a frustrating backfield, and this is why I don't have Damian Harris in my top 25 this year. Because I don't think that these guys are going to be reliable week in and week out. Now, look, this could be a better offense, I think. More efficient passing offense. They're not going to run as much, so maybe that sort of evens itself out a little bit. But it's still going to be frustrating. So if we're expecting Damian Harris to get all this extra work and, running back, RB1 in fantasy for Damian, it's not even going to be a high-end RB2, more than likely. It's possible. I don't think the odds are there. I think it's going to be a very frustrating backfield. But having said that, do I want Damian Harris on my team? Sure. I want him on my team. I want him as my RB4. You guys know my draft strategy. I'm picking toward the end of the first round, and I'm typically going 3 straight running backs, no matter what the league format is. Because I want the security at the most important position in fantasy, which is RB1. So I don't think that this is going to be some, Mac Jones is the starter now, Damian Harris to the moon sort of situation. It helps, but I don't think we need to overplay how much it helps. Damian Harris is still probably going to be a frustrating week-to-week RB2 in fantasy at best. Okay, as long as everybody else is healthy. Ramondre gets hurt, we're probably having a different discussion. But I don't think for a second that Ramondre Stevenson is going to have any shortage of touches. Probably even J.J. Taylor either. If they weren't impressed with Ramondre Stevenson and or J.J. Taylor, I don't think Sony Michel would be in St. Louis or L.A. right now. So I think they showed them enough to prove, hey, this guy's going to be involved. Why are we going to run Damian Harris into the ground when we can have another talented guy and rotate these guys out and keep them fresh? It's the new NFL, right? So I think we need to sort of pump the brakes on, Damian Harris, RB1 season. I don't think that's going to happen. And I think you're playing fool's gold if that's what you're hoping for, or that's what you're expecting. If you drafted hero running back or even zero running back, and Damian Harris is your RB1 or your RB2, you're probably going to have a bad time. You're going to be one frustrated individual come 6 o'clock at night on a Sunday. Because you're going to be, Ramondre Stevenson, vulture those 2 goal line touchdowns from Damian Harris, and that's why I'm going to lose this week. You're going to be frustrated. That kind of stuff I think is going to happen this year. But if you went running back early, like I've been trying to tell you to do, you can draft Damian Harris as your 4th running back on your team, and you can kick back and you can relax because you've got all this security. So if you went in the first round and you took Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley or Austin Ekeler or Aaron Jones, and you come back around and you get Najee Harris, you get Nick Chubb, or Aaron Jones if he's still there, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Antonio Gibson. You come back in the 3rd, you get DeAndre Swift as a steal at the end of the 3rd, I might say. His ADP is criminal. And Damian Harris is your 4th guy. Yeah, you're pretty good. You're pretty solid at running back. I would say you're pretty solid at running back. So, speaking of Austin Ekeler, let's talk for a minute about how Austin Ekeler, because you guys know my highest owned player in fantasy this year is Austin Ekeler. Okay, let's talk for a minute about how Austin Ekeler, okay, there's going to be 2 running backs we discuss here. Austin Ekeler and another one that I think is extremely disrespected, and I will not have any slander of this guy on the show, on Twitter, in the Fantasy Lounge. Speaking of the Roto Bros Fantasy Advice Lounge, you see it scrolling across your screen. Go to patreon.com/RotoBros. It'll be the best fantasy decision you ever made. Highest IQ community you're going to find. It's $2 a month. There's a $5 a month tier. You get a bunch of extra goodies as well, so check that out. Silver tier, $2 a month, $5 a month for the gold tier. But both tiers get you access into the Fantasy Advice Lounge. Great fantasy community. The best place to get your start sits answered, to get your trade advice answered, to get your waiver wires, draft questions answered. We will actually do a live draft with you. We have patrons that will attest to that. We just got done doing one 5 minutes before I came on air. Live draft. We are walking you through it, helping you out, talking strategy. You will become a smarter player. You want to win money in DFS? We got a DFS channel for that too. We're printing money in DFS. I won 10 grand back in March in NBA DFS. No lie. The first night, 3 weeks ago, we had a member join. His first night, he wins over $1,000. Same night, somebody else had won. One of my best friends actually won $400. This is what happens when you join the Roto Bros Fantasy Advice Lounge. So check it out, patreon.com/RotoBros. You will not regret it. So you'll get a welcome email with a video of me and welcoming you to the lounge, and you also get a direct link in that email that will get you in the lounge as well. But speaking of Austin Ekeler, let's talk for a minute about how Austin Ekeler could almost break fantasy football this year. Let's go back to 2019. Okay, Eckler got hurt last year, so we'll kind of toss that one out. Running backs get hurt; it is what it is. So we'll toss that one out. Let's go back to 2019. Okay, just 2 years ago. He's played all 16 games. Austin Ekeler finished the season in fantasy in PPR leagues as the overall RB4. You might be thinking to yourself, well, yeah, PPR because he catches passes, but in standard, he was like RB17. Move that up about 10 spots to RB7. Austin Ekeler was a rock-solid RB1 in all formats. Didn't matter that he catches a lot of passes and you play in the standard league. Didn't matter. You got an incredible return on your investment because you drafted him significantly later. And as a matter of fact, he was the only running back in 2019 to finish in the top 19 with less than 150 carries. The closest to him was James White at RB18 with 67 carries. Think about that. The only running back in 2019 to finish in the top 19. That means the only running back to finish in the top 12 as an RB1 in fantasy with less than 150 carries. Second in the NFL to Christian McCaffrey in both targets and receptions. And you're like, well, yeah, he's a workhorse. Oh, was he? He was splitting the backfield with Melvin Gordon. 2 years ago, Melvin Gordon is still a good talent. Okay, he's starting to fall off. Okay, and we all love Javonte Williams. And he's going to take over sooner than later. Melvin's time in the sun is nearly over. But 2 years ago, Melvin Gordon was fine. Melvin Gordon's a good football player, especially 2 years ago. Very talented. Melvin Gordon saw 162 carries, and he saw 55 targets. Let's go over the snap share percentage here. Because you were probably thinking, some of you that don't know any better, you were probably thinking, well, yeah, Austin Ekeler's playing almost like every snap. No, he wasn't. Austin Ekeler's snap share percentage just barely edging out Melvin Gordon. Austin Ekeler had a 57.1% snap share percentage. He saw 57.1% of the snaps. Melvin Gordon saw 55.6%. So it was essentially a 50-50 split when it came to snaps. Opportunity share. What is the opportunity share? Opportunity share looks at the amount of both targets and carries within that said backfield. Melvin Gordon's was higher. He had a higher opportunity share in totality than Austin Ekeler, 54.7. Austin Ekeler's was only 46%. So it's the more you dive into this season of that Austin Ekeler had in 2019 as a part-time player, the more incredible it really is. He had the least amount of touches for any RB1 in fantasy that year. Out of the top 12 fantasy football running backs, he had the least amount of touches in fantasy. One more time. He was an RB1 in fantasy with less touches than any other running back that was also an RB1. The next closest was Alvin Kamara. So what does that mean? In 2019, Austin Ekeler made his touches count more than Alvin Kamara. And we're over here taking Alvin Kamara as a third overall pick. Some people are taking him second after McCaffrey. And this was on 57.1% of the snaps with a 46% opportunity share. Okay, well, what does that mean for 2020, Chris? Or 2021? Here's what it means. Melvin Gordon's gone. The backups, Justin Jackson, Josh Kelly, Larry Roundtree, who is a virtual unknown, okay, and a rookie, I might add. These are three guys. They are not Melvin Gordon. They aren't of the talent, anywhere near the talent that Melvin Gordon probably is and was 2 years ago. So if you think the snap percentage and the opportunity percentage was good for Austin Ekeler in 2019 when he finished as RB4 in PPR and RB7 in standard and made his touches count more than Alvin Kamara, I mean, I'm just saying, Austin Ekeler could break fantasy football in 2021. That's what the signs point to. Now look, got to stay healthy, got to stay on the field. He's a running back. He's going to get a lot of touches. Going to get banged up. Okay? But if he stays on the field for all 17 games, hell, even 14, he could play 14 games and still outscore what he did in 2019. Because we know Josh Kelly isn't any good. He's just a guy. We know Justin Jackson is just a guy. He's not any good. Now, we don't know if Larry Roundtree is any good, but are you really going to take Austin Ekeler off the field to give Larry Roundtree a significant amount of touches? No, you're not. Are you really going to take Austin do-it-all, super effective running back Austin Ekeler off the field so that you can give all three guys a significant amount of touches and make this a four-way backfield? No, you're not doing that. I don't care what the rumors are. Austin Eckler's touch security is about as high as any other running backs in the league. And I think we're going to see that this year. This is why Austin Ekeler is my most owned player in all of fantasy. I am chasing the volume. I am chasing how effective he is on a per-touch basis and how effective he was on a per-touch basis in a 50-50 split backfield with a significantly better talent at running back than he has now. Austin Ekeler is going to be a problem in fantasy in 2021. And if you didn't draft him in the first round, God help you that you drafted somebody with just as high or higher of a ceiling. Because if you drafted Nick Chubb over Austin Ekeler, Nick Chubb, who doesn't catch any passes, Nick Chubb's ceiling's capped. Nick Chubb's a good player. You should have drafted him over Austin Ekeler. Not in PPR. Okay, so Austin Ekeler is one of my favorite running backs this year. Probably my favorite running back to own this year, obviously. But there's another guy that you can get super late. One of the best values at running back as far as I'm concerned this year. And he seemingly gets disrespected every year. Everybody's upset with him for some reason. Nobody thinks he's any good. I will protect the national treasure that is Kenyon Drake with my life. I will take a bullet for Kenyon Drake. I love Kenyon Drake. I want to tell my friends and neighbors about Kenyon Drake. I want to watch him grow. I want to watch him blossom as a fantasy juggernaut, as going as RB43. On what planet is RB43 a justifiable place for Kenyon Drake to be drafted? And you're thinking, oh, well, he's splitting the backfield with Josh Jacobs. Splitting the backfield with Josh Jacobs. That's no good, right? Well, I bet you would have said that last year when he was splitting carries, splitting the backfield with Chase Edmonds, right? Oh, that's right. Yeah, he just gave you were drafting him as maybe an RB2, and all he did was return top 16 fantasy production at the running back position. He was a top 16 running back last year in PPR, and he wasn't even the main pass catcher in his own backfield. We're all sitting there watching Red Zone all day long, and every time Arizona gets on the field, we're like, why are they not allowing Kenyon Drake to catch passes? The guy is good at it all. He's the best overall running back in the backfield. Why are they not making him a workhorse? Chase Edmonds was the one coming in on nearly every passing down. Kenyon Drake was getting the majority of the carries. And we're like, what is this? But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because Kenyon Drake got enough work and was efficient with his touches that he got to give you top 16 production in PPR. And look, he scored 10 touchdowns. I think he had the second most red zone carries or something like that inside the 5, something like some stat like that. It was something like that. So maybe he was buoyed by touchdowns, sure. But I think that sort of is evened out because you could say, okay, well, Josh Jacobs is going to get the majority of the work inside the 5. Majority of the goal line touches. Okay, fine. But what's happening now in the Raiders' backfield? Who is the main pass catcher in the Raiders' backfield now? It is Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake is finally going to be the one that is catching the majority of the passes. So I don't care that he's not going to score 10 to 12 touchdowns. I don't need him to. You won't need him to. All you need for him to do is take a significant amount of work in the pass catching game away from Josh Jacobs. And you're like, oh, well, maybe he won't do that. Well, follow the money. Who do you think's the highest paid backup running back in the NFL? Oh, if you said Kenyon Drake, you have the correct answer. The highest paid backup running back in the league is Kenyon Drake. Yeah, I think he's going to be plenty involved in the offense. And he's probably going to be the main pass catcher in this offense. And if he's not, and he's the main ball carrier, well, there we go. Now maybe he'll be buoyed by touchdowns again. But you are able to get Kenyon Drake, the guy we just helped, one of our patrons in the Fantasy Lounge, we just helped him with a live draft 5 minutes before I got on air. Kenyon Drake is his RB4, RB5. What type of value is that from a guy that can give you top 16 production in a split backfield and is now the main pass catcher in the offense at the running back position? And oh, God help you if Josh Jacobs gets hurt. Because Kenyon Drake is going to take all the work. And he has RB1 upside written all over him if he gets the majority of the catches and the carries, if Josh Jacobs were to go down. You want to talk about upside? The upside doesn't get any higher than Kenyon Drake. The value doesn't get any higher than Kenyon Drake. However, there is some more value, because I don't want to end the show without talking about him. there is some more value to be had at the running back position. And that value comes from the Baltimore Ravens backfield. And it comes from Tyson Williams. And it's not Tyson Williams, it is Tyson Williams. J.K. Dobbins out for the year. And now we have Gus Edwards taking over the role. We all love Gus Edwards. We all think Gus Edwards is going to do fine. Going to be a rock-solid RB2. Does have some RB1 upside. Probably not going to be an RB1. Does have some upside. But the guy you need to look out for and that you can add on your waiver wire, I don't care how shallow your benches are. I don't care if it's redraft. I don't care if it's dynasty. You need to go add Tyson Williams immediately if he's not already taken. Because Tyson Williams now, 6'1", 220-pound build. Those are my favorite types of running back builds. When I see a running back built like that, I want to look at how athletic they are. Because if they are built that size and they are athletic, I'm all over it. I'm buying in. Tyson Williams is decently athletic. He's going to step in. He's already taken over that. All of these other fish in your league are busy taking Justice Hill when you could be busy taking Tyson Williams and getting more upside. You could be the shark in your league. While all the fish are getting Justice Hill, you could be the shark in your league and getting the actual RB2 and the more valuable running back in that league, in that backfield. Tyson Williams is who you want to have. If he moves in, he's probably going to have standalone value anyway, because we saw Gus Edwards had standalone value with J.K. Dobbins. As a matter of fact, here's a fun stat via my good buddy Chris Meany. There are 6 running backs with at least 700 yards in each of the last 3 seasons. Derrick Henry, no surprise. Nick Chubb, no surprise. Aaron Jones, no surprise. Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, no surprise, no surprise. Take a wild guess at who the 6th one is. It's Gus Edwards, baby. Gus Edwards, maybe he's a bit of an outlier. But this isn't a Gus Edwards tweet. This is a Tyson Williams tweet. And what I mean by that, Gus Edwards, the last 3 seasons, has been able to get at least 700 rushing yards in each of the last 3 seasons. Up there with all of these other elite names that you're taking in the first round. Now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine something here. Imagine for a moment that Tyson Williams gets the Gus Edwards role when J.K. Dobbins was healthy. Oh, so now Tyson Williams is the guy getting 600, 700 plus yards, giving himself standalone value, and he's free in your league. You can go pick him up right now. In the middle of a draft, that's cool. Take him with your last pick. But right before you take defense and kickers, if you have defense and kickers in your league. You want to talk about high upside pick? That's a high upside pick. You want to talk about high upside? Own Kenyon Drake and Tyson Williams on your bench simultaneously. Now we're talking about some upside at an extremely cheap, affordable price. So forget about Justice Hill. That waiver claim that you have in for Justice Hill, forget about it. Cancel it immediately. Don't even worry about it. Don't waste your time. And I'm going to tell you why you don't waste your time. Because I can already hear you right now. Oh, Justice Hill is going to catch the majority of the passes. He's the satellite back. He's the scat back. Oh, is he? I don't care. I'm going to tell you why I don't care. The last 2 seasons, in a Lamar Jackson offense, Baltimore Ravens offense, the Ravens have been last and second to last, or it's either second to last and third to last. Either way, the last 2 seasons, they are bottom 3 in the NFL in throws to the running back position. No other team in the league, on average, throws the ball to running backs less than the Baltimore Ravens. So have fun with Justice Hill, barely not even doing anything. And have fun dropping Justice Hill in week 3 when you realize, oh, this was a bad pickup. And the guy that drafted at the end of your draft or added Tyson Williams is the one getting the value. Tyson's the one you need to add. So just simmer on that. Tyson Williams might just end up being the back to own for the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Sorry I couldn't really get to many of your questions, but of course we'll do some live shows as well. Keep in mind the weekly live Sunday morning start sit show is coming. Roto Bros Live is coming. We are just over a week away from kicking off the live start sit show. So get ready for that. It ain't going away. It's got a new moniker, being rebranded. Roto Bros Live. So you guys take a look at that. Again, you see it scrolling across the bottom. The best value in all of fantasy. Go to patreon.com/RotoBros. Join the $2 tier or the $5 tier, silver or gold. They're both going to get you access into the Fantasy Lounge, and it is going to be the best decision from a fantasy perspective that you ever made. It's an even better decision than adding Tyson Williams and Kenyon Drake. It's an even better decision. So go do it. You're not going to regret it. We cover it all. We cover season-long, dynasty, redraft in all sports, DFS, best ball. So you want to win some money, we've got your back as well. We're printing money in the DFS channel. So check that out again, patreon.com/RotoBros. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to go relax. I'm tired. You guys have a great night. I am out.